It's always interesting to hear people talk about how they don't want to be like their parents. Being in student ministry, working with 6th through 12th graders, I hear it all the time. My mom isn't cool, or I don't look anything like my dad. Even with the best parents, many kids want to blaze their own trail and not be compared to them in the slightest. Oddly enough, the Pharisees were very much the same. They had seen how their forefathers had lived out their lives, and they wanted to think that they had distanced themselves and were living a much more righteous life. Jesus had another thought. In Matthew 23, 29 through 36, Jesus had some very strong words for them. He calls them snakes, broods of vipers, because they had taken on all of the very worst traits of their ancestors. Not only were they living that out, they thought that they were the best of the best, the most righteous, untouchable in every way. Comparison person to person is a tricky game. You can always find somebody who's done something worse than you who isn't as good as you. The Pharisees lived in this way. But we must be careful not to look horizontally for our righteousness. We must look upward to God, and in doing so, we realize we can never measure up to God's holiness. There's no amount of good works and deeds we can do to be righteous enough. This begs the question then, what do we do? Friends, we have to, we have no choice but to lean on Jesus. Praise God that though we were sinners, Christ died for us and rose from the grave. If we put our faith and hope in Him, then the sin we are riddled with is put onto Him and we receive His righteousness. Don't look to others for your righteousness. Look to Jesus. He is your only hope. Remember, change begins in you.
The Change Begins in You is brought to you in part by Piggly Wiggly of Collinsville, Patrick Allen Companies, Mitchell Tire and Wrecker in Collinsville, and Mowdy Cabinetry.